All right, in this section 4 of Unit 6, we are going to be finding the midpoint of lines, or one of the ends if we're given the midpoint. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. You guys have done something like this before where we were finding the average of 2 points or the average of two numbers. That's exactly what this is. So I want us, though, to get in the habit of using this equation that I have right here. So this midpoint equation where we have a plus b, where those are just our 2 points, and divided by 2. That's our equation that we use for average. Now we're going to be doing this for horizontal and vertical lines. I know that you could probably just look at this and figure it out, but again, I want you to use this equation because when we get into the next section, these equations or this equation is going to be used because we're going to be finding the midpoint of diagonal lines, which is not as easy to pick out. Now, a couple things to just point out here. When we're finding the midpoint of lines, the distance or the amount on each side of the line, so like 6 and 6, each side of the midpoint is going to be equal. So when we go into this vertical line, we needed to find what this end was. If we know that it's 10 from 31 to 21, which would be our midpoint, it's also going to be 10 from 21 to whatever this end is right here. So that would make it 11. We can double check that, or we could run it back into our equation and solve for x. It's a little more complicated probably, but still using that equation. Now, when we go down here and we're actually on a graph, again, I know you could just look at the middle here and pick out the point, but I want us to use this equation. Now, we're dealing with a vertical line here, so we're not really worried about what the x coordinates are. So we just look at our y coordinates, 5 and 3 on these 2 points. We add those together, divide by 2, we get 4. Using this equation, y1 plus y2 is divided by 2. We then know that the x coordinate is the same as what it was previously because we're dealing with a vertical line. Now, going into a horizontal line, again, I'm confident you guys could look at this graph and figure out what the midpoint is, but I want us to use the equations. So you add the 2 points up. In this case, with a horizontal line, we're not worried about the y coordinates. So x1 plus x2 divided by 2, 1 plus 4 divided by 2, give us 2.5. Now the y coordinate on our midpoint is going to be the same as what the other 2 points or the endpoints were. Very, very straightforward. You guys are just fine with this. Now, this is kind of leading us into what our next section is. If we find the 2 midpoints on these lines, which they're kind of the same as what it was above, at least the horizontal line is, that's going to help us find the midpoint of this triangle. So here's our right triangle here, of the diagonal on this triangle. Where these cross, that's going to be our midpoint. I'm going to give you kind of a newer equation or a way to put these equations together to get this coordinate point that I have highlighted or circled right in here, which would be the midpoint of the diagonal. So again, very straightforward. I know you guys are going to think this is easy. That's awesome. You guys are great. Make sure you go on to your homework assignment and get that done. You will have plenty of time. If you are missing anything from previous sections, please go back and do that. Use your time wisely during class. And if you're watching this video, you probably are. If you're not watching this video, you may not have been using your time wisely. But hope you guys have a great day.